Scott, we're now about a month out from this election, and we still do not have a clear front runner in this race. As you mentioned, that's because we've seen half of these candidates drop out.
This is the plant, and that is the Assembly Hall. And you'll see these cars parked here. It's because they can't park on the parking lot out there right now. New message painted on this rock, which is something of a billboard here on Michigan State's campus. This new message reading, "Allow us to defend ourselves and carry on campus." We're actually in Lansing now, about 3.5 miles away from campus, and behind me there's a sizable police presence, and there has been for about an hour now. Some drones have the ability to be high up, but still zoom in, so they could be as high as 400 feet in the air. That's twice as high as this building. It's been about 87 hours now since the storm hit Lansing, taking out power to much of the area. Still behind me, you can see there is no power at this intersection, and what's now could be best described as a uncontrolled four-way stop. There's been a lot of cars coming by, honking horn. As you can hear, a lot of support. Think of it this way. If you are actively driving and there's something you need to do, if it requires more than one touch, you should not be doing that while driving any longer. But until then, I've got some reporting to do. So in East Lansing, I'm Rachel Louise Just, and I'll see you later.
I've got a tornado warning on my phone. I went to swipe it away, and as I did, my ears popped and the big glass window behind me blew.
Tim Dietz couldn't even make it to his basement to shelter from the tornado.
Dropped to the ground, hands and knees, to take cover.
He had to shelter in the kitchen. His wife and her friend hid in the hallway. The family has been on this land so long, the road is named after them.
So this barn behind me was built before the Civil War.
Now, to see the full strength of Thursday's tornado, look around the Dietz property. In one night, 190 years of Dietz family history was wiped out, thrown hundreds of yards into their fields.
Something that can't be replaced.
Their cornfields have been flattened, losing the family $80,000 in income, Tim estimates. The home, no longer attached to the foundation, is expected to be a total loss. The Williamston area east of Lansing is where the tornado did some of the worst damage. Trees along I-96 snapped in half like toothpicks. In more metropolitan parts of Lansing, you can see cars smashed, lines and trees down, roads closed, and even flooded.
There's a lot of trees and branches down today. Really pretty bad.
For some of those hit hardest, like the Dietz family, it is not all sadness today.
Thank God first for our safety. Second, for the community.
Family and friends have rallied around the Dietzes, bringing them food, water, helping them move out.
Always help your neighbors. Always be there for your community. And this is kind of what our town is all about. Everyone helps each other.
The Dietz family will rebuild, but they know it's going to be a long road to get there. In Williamston, Rachel Louise Just.
You do right by the people. Nothing is going to be right for you.
Long simmering tensions boiling over today in East Lansing.
Call for order in the boardroom, please.
Trustee Brianna Scott says Board Chair Rima Vassar has violated ethics rules, bullying university leaders, flying on a donor's private jet against board rules, making fun of former MSU football coach Mel Tucker's accuser, and going behind the board's back to negotiate deals.
I must be doing something right if folks are coming this stridently for me.
Vassar pushing back on the allegations, saying many are lies and other trustees are guilty of the same things they accuse her of.
Please don't believe that I am a liar. I just don't do that. It's not worth it.
Since making those allegations over the weekend,
I didn't put one damn lie in that letter.
Scott says she's been targeted.
You have no idea the stuff that has been said about me this week. And all I wanted to do was stand up for people who don't have a voice because they're so afraid.
Scott saying the attacks became personal.
Being called a white person in a black body, you all have no idea.
Both trustees and students say the problems with the MSU go beyond this week and this boardroom.
But this is embarrassing.
During a nearly 4-hour meeting, frustration reaching a fever pitch.
God don't like what y'all doing.
Vassar, the first black woman to chair the board, says the claims against her by Scott were motivated by race, something students with black campus organizations agree with and say they know all too well.
I don't like this school. Like, when they say I'm not a Spartan, I side with that wholeheartedly. I'm not a Spartan.
Scott says the claims of racism are why her fellow colleagues haven't stood up.
None of it has been because of Rima's race. None of it. I'm black.
No decisions were made about Vassar's fate on the board, but for many, the fight is not over.
No more decorum. We're going to sit in these board meetings and we're going to talk. You don't want us to talk, we're going to yell.
The meeting is adjourned.
In East Lansing, Rachel Louise Just.
I'm gonna be here till it gets dark.
Michelle Serlin and her husband Troy run a counseling agency in Michigan. But for the last few weeks, they've had their eyes on Ohio.
I'm out here for my clients. I'm out here for my daughter, most importantly. I want to have grandchildren safely.
From her head to her toes, she's asking Ohioans to vote yes on writing abortion into the state constitution.
My husband and I have canvassed over 600 houses in the last 3 weeks.
Like it is for so many people, the issue for Michelle and Troy is personal.
I worked at Planned Parenthood when it was firebombed.
If rights can be taken away by one group, it could be happening to another group, so we have to be vigilant.
Ohio's version of its constitutional amendment is almost identical to Michigan's. The similarities don't end there. The anti-Prop 3 tagline in Michigan last year was too confusing, too extreme.
I think it's deceptive. It's too vague a law.
Just like in Michigan last year, confusion is being used in Ohio this year to swing voters one way or the other.
Our signs look almost identical.
Almost.
Yeah, it was a trick.
Advocates on both sides say they don't know what will happen in Ohio this election day.
Do you feel pretty confident that you guys are going to end up being victorious today?
No, I'm not.
If this doesn't pass, there'll be a lot more people from Ohio coming in. It's right next door.
Planned Parenthood of Michigan says it's seen 2 to 3 times the number of out-of-state patients traveling there since Roe was overturned last year. And when Ohio has fluctuated in its abortion access, more Ohioans have traveled to Michigan. In Toledo, Rachel Louise Just. No matter how good a driver you are, winter weather can lead to dangerous conditions on the road. And when your tires hit that black ice, you don't want to be left guessing. First things first, when you start to skid, feet off the brakes and the gas.
Basically, when you're in a skid, the seat of your pants and your eyes aren't aligned. And the farther you can look at, the better sense that you'll have that those two things aren't aligned.
That means keep your eyes on where you want to go and steer toward that. Here's what happens when you don't do that.
Watch the tower, watch the tower, watch the tower.
Best case scenario, you do a little bit of a donut.
Yep, just drive us right off.
Okay. Keep your eye on your target. Quick hand-over-hand steering.
Faster.
And you'll be much better off. And remember to brace. Or else. Michigan hasn't seen too much snow or ice yet this year, but it is coming. And MSP says that not everyone's going to adjust their driving in response.
We all see it. There's cars in the ditches. There's more traffic crashes this time of year.
Keep an eye on your tires. That means, yep, get out old Abe Lincoln and check that tread. If you can see his whole head, time for a new set.
This time of year when it's cold, your tires have a tendency to lose air quicker.
Make sure you're checking tire pressure too. Finally, plan for more time on the road and reduce your speed.
You're not going to be able to stop the car as fast as you normally would on dry pavement.
In Lansing, Rachel Louise Just.